designing the electronics, locations and the system here, for me it was important it had to work for any place on the boat. I had to work both sides obviously. It has to work when you're driving with the tiller, it has to work when you're driving here. A key thing when you're racing is that you're always looking forward when you're driving. You never drive a racing boat looking backwards, because everything that you're looking for is ahead of you, whether it's the wind just to the weather of you or it's the waves. And I think this is also what cruising is about. You know, you're steering the boat, you're looking forward, you see if there's something in the water, or you want to see that you are trimmed properly with the sails. And then you want your instruments and your information in line of sight. So I designed a little nice pod for 3 1010 displays, which gives me what is the most important information when you're sailing. If you have heading, boat speed and wind angle, you can do almost anything sailing wise. And the graphic display pretty much gives you everything you can dream of information except the charts. Tells you pretty much what kind of angles you have to play with when you're sailing. And you can program each of these pages to give you, for example, a time plot with the wind direction and the wind speed. And then obviously a lot of other information that is relevant. And then here to the right we have the nice multifunction display, or the chart plotter. And here we have the charts. Now I just have an overlay with the radar as well, so I can see that that matches. And these 3 different sources of information gives you sort of what you need to know all the time in front of you, which is the key core sailing information. Then you have here in the middle, you have more data than you get on the displays. And then the charts, which you don't have to look at all the time, but they're very, very accessible. And on this screen we can obviously put the radar when we are in bad visibility conditions. We can put anything, I mean, all the information you have there as well. So here I have 2 screens now, one very close up, which is very important. We know some pretty bad accidents we had in Volvo Ocean Race with the Vestas boat, where they only looked at the low resolution charts. But to have both in a screen is very good. It tells you where you are on the coastline of Spain here, and it gives you the sort of close up. Or you can mix it with the radar, or you can mix it with the time plot. And that's everything you need. And the beauty of this, the positioning I have of the instruments here, is that they also work when I'm sitting in the chair. All the 3 information is available also from here. So I can just see my 3 instruments with the boat speed, the wind angle and the heading. I can see the one in the middle, and I can see the chart from here. So all 3 works super well. Took a long time to put the angles right, but I think, you know, too many leaves these instrument locations to only aesthetics. And they normally do it when the boat is docked on land. Or also in the marina. You know, you should always place your instrument when you're out sailing. I also have another one here, which is the Pilot H5000 pilot controller. And this is also something from my racing background, but I used to race 60-foot trimarans, and you have very little time when something happens. And then you always have these things very handy. The reason I have it here is because if something happens at night or anywhere, and you just want to run forward because you want to do something in the bow, I have a button here, so I can just very quickly push the autopilot and run forward. I don't have to worry about any screens or settings or anywhere. So it's kind of a very quick access screen, and then I don't have to touch any of the other information I have available. It just gives me an isolated pilot control. And then obviously we have completely replicated this setup on the other side. And some people think that's too much. Some people keep their instruments only on one side. For me, that is definitely out of question to not have that, because we are going to do a lot of racing in the Scandinavian archipelago where we have rocks everywhere. And there's hundreds and hundreds of rocks. There's even unmarked rocks. And we're going to go through some very narrow passages. And I want to have the full view whether I'm port or starboard. And I want to be able to sail. And obviously if you only have the instruments on one side and you have the jib on that side as well, it covers your visibility. And then you have to be on the other side with no instruments. So for me, absolutely essential to have everything on both sides. And the kids even love this. I mean, the kids grow up with iPads today, so they know how to operate the screens very quickly. And they can see, where are we, Dad? You know, where are we sailing to? And they have that information available. Having 2 also even give you an option to, for example, put the radar. You can put the radar, and I can even angle it this way. So you can see the radar from here, and then you have the 2 sources from one side. This boat has a fantastic nav station. after having raced Volvo Ocean Race boats around the world and things like that, where you sit in the back of the boat in the darkest place without any ventilation, and you have this much height and this much above your head. It's a terrible place. These designers of these boats have really thought about the ultimate nav station, because it's probably the best place in the whole boat. And so we have a nice desk here, and we have a full 360 view, so you can really see 360 degrees around you. And when I saw this boat first time, I thought, you know, when you have this kind of nav station, you need to have the opportunity to even steer the boat from here. And with this remote of the glass bridge system from B&G, I can actually steer the boat. So I just go into the Autopilot, and I can choose follow-up or non-follow-up function, and it gives me the opportunity to steer the boat here just with a rotating wheel. So I can sit here, turn the boat, obviously put it on pilot or steer it actively, which is fantastic. And this rather large screens is, to me, fantastic, because it gives you so much information. You could either choose to have, you know, just the charts and have a lot of detail on the charts, see a very big part of the coastline in one screen, or you can also choose to have less information. You know, you can have one screen, you can have several screens, you can have, for example, here I can split the screen in 4 and have lots of data, which I find very useful. You can use the remote on both screens, either on one or one or the other, and it gives you, in addition, it gives you a man overboard button as well, extra. It gives you direct access to the pilot and direct access to mark waypoints very quickly. So, but the touch screens also work amazingly well today. I mean, they're very, very easy to use, very responsive. So, and they have all the information you need. And then today you can obviously integrate the B&G system with anything you want. You can get engine data, you can get all the kinds of information that you really want. And now we just head it up a bit. I'll put it back on pilot. So, what a place, what an office. I love it. Because this is a cruising boat and we are a short-handed family. It's just me and my wife and our kids. And it means that you need to be able to do things from everywhere in the boat. And the boat is quite big, it's quite wide. So, to sleep well when you're on anchor, we decided to put a little Vulcan 5 display in the cabin. And the reason we have that is when you're on anchor, particularly when you're on anchor, but you have an anchor alarm, the first thing you want to do, obviously you can run upstairs and see what's going on. But with the little display here, I can see pretty much everything. I can see how the boat is moving. I can see if the wind has changed. And even when I'm sleeping, if we are doing watches and sailing overnight, you have all this information in your bunk. So if you feel the breeze is picking up or anything, you have the information there. Super nice little detail, very easy to operate, touchscreen, easy to move around, and gives you all the information you need, has access to the full system, and yeah, makes you sleep better. And the VHF obviously is essential. This one is very neat, it's the V90, it takes very little space, very easy to operate, has the handset and headset in one go. And also I have mounted a speaker on the left side, so you can hear it loud and clear if you're downstairs. And then the beauty is that this one you can add remote handsets, wireless and remote handsets too. So always a handset next to the steering position, and this handset operates the whole VHF inside remotely, operates around the whole boat, and it charges when it's sitting here in this bracket. So this is a completely hidden charger. It works magnetically with a handset, and yeah, gives you all the VHF capability you need. My two daughters, they like to be here watching dolphins and other things happening. And if I'm here with them and something happens, I always keep the Autopilot remote with me. It's a fantastic little piece of information and capability, because it lets me steer the boat. And I've been around the world, so I've seen everything that floats of debris in the water. There's a lot, unfortunately, in the water. And if you see a pallet or anything ahead of you, you have this possibility to steer the boat and just click twice, and I'm now turning the boat a few degrees to starboard, or I can turn 10 degrees to starboard and do that remotely just from hand. And in particular, when you operate the boat short-handed, quite often you have the family asleep, you're up at night, you need to have this in your pocket, because then you have the capability to change and turn the boat anytime you want. And upstairs we have the radar on this boat quite high up. It has always been a dream of mine. I never had that in the racing boats because we want to avoid windage and we want to keep the weight low. With the cruising you have to think safety first, and having the radar position as high as you can gives you more range and more accuracy and much better coverage with your radar. So little challenge with the catamaran is that we have a rotating mast, so the radar has to be calibrated for its first location and then for the rotation. But with B&G we also have a mast rotation sensor, and that tells the system how many degrees the mast is rotated and calibrates the radar. So the radar is always showing the correct picture. That works perfectly.